All right, we're doing forms of linear equations in this video. So it's part of our C1 analytic geometry topic. All right, so we typically write linear equations in two different ways. So this way, in the red, slope-intercept form is so handy. It's the best. And it's really handy because you can easily find the slope and the y-intercept. So if you haven't heard yet, m is actually our slope in this form of the equation, and b is actually our y-intercept. So writing an equation in this form makes it really easy to graph something because, you can find the y-intercept and then use the slope to help you graph it. So super handy. Okay, then there's this thing called standard form. And you're not going to get away from it. Or sometimes it's referred to as general form, I think. And I can't narrow it down. So I think there's like two ways to write standard form, from what I see. ax plus by plus c equals 0. So it's actually you're just taking all of this stuff and putting it over to one side. So the a, the b, and the c are just numbers. So it would look something like, 10x plus 2y plus 5 equals 0. So a, b, and c are just numbers. We just use a, b, and c to be like variables that represent them. Okay, or, you could also have the constant on the other side. So ax plus by equals c. I think both are acceptable forms of standard form. Okay. In standard form, it's sometimes handy if you're trying to find maybe the x and y intercept of the equation. You can still, I don't know, maybe it's like a formal way to write something. It could be useful in grade 10 and 11 and 12 when you start to look at other types of functions and manipulating them and things. So it's good to know both forms. Okay, so in this video, we're just going to learn how to convert between the two forms. We should know how to do that, and it's just using your algebra skills. All right, so let's try one. Okay, so let me give you an equation in standard form. So let's say I have 3x plus 2y minus 10 equals 0. Let's say that's standard form. And I want to graph it. So I really want it to be in slope-intercept form. So my goal, I want it to look like y equals mx plus b. So what do I notice? Okay, right off the bat, I'm seeing y is alone, and everything else is on the other side. Okay? So basically, I'm going to not touch this positive 2y. I'm going to leave that guy alone, and I'm going to get the 3x and the negative 10 over there. All right, so how do I get rid of a negative 3x? Why don't we subtract it from both sides? Just like we do when we solve equations. So 3x minus 3x, boom, gone. So I'll just be left with my 2y minus 10 equals 0 minus 3x, just be minus 3x. Okay, and I still want to get rid of my negative 10. So what's the opposite of negative 10? Positive 10. So that's how I make things disappear. I do the opposite operation. So negative 10 plus 10, those are gone. Add 10 to that side. So I'm left with just the 2y, like I wanted, and then negative 3x plus 10. Okay, I've almost got my goal reached, except it just has a y. I have a 2y. I need to get rid of that 2. So how to separate a 2 from a y? The only way to break those guys up is to divide by 2. Because I know 2 divided by 2 ends up being 1, and that will leave me with 1y, which I could just write as y. That's what I want. Those end up canceling out. But whatever I do to one side, I have to do it to the other side. So I actually need to divide both of these things by 2. So negative 3 over 2, you could write it as negative 1.5, but I am going to leave it as negative 3 over 2x. And then 10 divided by 2 would be 5. So there you go. We just took an equation in standard form. All right, I'll just rewrite our original was 3x plus 2y minus 10 equals 0. So that was our standard form. And we converted it into slope-intercept form. Cool. So yeah. All right, let's try another one for practice. Okay, I'm going to give you another standard form, but this time I'll give it to you with the C on the other side. All right, so what have I had? 5x minus 10y equals 30. Okay, there's my equation, and my goal is I want it to be in slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. That's what I want. So once again, I need to probably don't touch the negative 10y, leave that term, and get rid of the 5x. That's my plan. All right, let's do it. I'm just going to rewrite it so that I have the original sitting there still. All right, so the only way to get rid of the 5x is to do the opposite. So it's currently a positive 5x, so I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. And that just eliminates this. So 5x, take away 5x, gone. So all I'm left with is the negative 10y like I wanted, equals 30 minus 5x. So hey, you know what? I'm just going to change the order of those because see how my goal is like mx plus b? I want the x term first and then the y-intercept. I mean, no big deal. Like it doesn't actually matter. But I'm just going to reverse those terms. So I'm going to make the negative 5x go first. And then the 30 is positive because it doesn't have a negative sign. So I would just do plus 30 at the end. So I just kind of changed the order, which is fine, right? Like if you had 2 plus 3, you can write it as 3 plus 2. That's what I did. Cool. Okie doke. So next thing, I just want the y by itself. So I got to get rid of that negative 10. So I'm going to divide this side by negative 10 because we've established that's the only way to break those guys up. But then I got to divide everything by negative 10, which leaves me with just a y. Perfect. And then I got negative 5 over negative 10. So I know my negatives are going to go away because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And then I'm going to reduce 5 over 10 to lowest terms, making it 1 over 2. So I have 1 over 2x. You could also write that as just like x over 2. I don't know. Whatever you want. And then 30 divided by negative 10 would actually be negative 3. Right? Positive divided by a negative would be a negative. And 30 divided by 10 is 3. Cool, that's my final answer. So I took a standard form equation and I changed it into slope-intercept form. And remember, we like slope-intercept form because we can see the slope is a half and the y-intercept is negative 3. So if we actually wanted to graph this equation, I could start at negative 3 and then I could go rise over run, so up 1 over 2. I mean, I don't really have graph paper here, but up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, and I could eventually make a whole graph. Cool. So that's how we convert from standard form to slope-intercept. Let's go the other way. Okay, let's say we had y equals 4x minus 3. So now we got a slope-intercept form. So now my goal is I want to convert it to standard form. I'm going to say standard form is ax plus by plus c equals 0. Basically, I want to move everything to one side. It doesn't actually matter what side. Like, it's cool if it looks like this, too. It's actually the same thing. You can flip-flop the sides however you want. Okay, so here's some important things about standard form that I didn't mention earlier, so I hope you're still watching. This A guy, he's got some rules. So we always want him to be positive, or her, or whatever A is. So we always want A to be positive. We don't want to have a negative. And it's also nice if A is not a fraction. I mean, no big deal, but just, I guess, standard form's all about their looks, and that's what they're saying. So positive and perhaps not a fraction. Does A have any other rules? I don't think so. Okay, so since I want A to be positive, see how 4x, which 4 is a. See how it's already positive? So I think I'm actually going to leave it on the right. And I'm going to actually just get the y over there. So I'm going to leave 4x. I'm going to leave -3. All I need to do is move this y. So how do I move it? I got to get rid of it. How do I get rid of it? Well, since I'm getting rid of the whole y, I need to just subtract y. Because I know y minus y would be 0. And whatever you do to one side, you do it to the other side. So these guys go away, leaving absolutely nothing on the left. So 0. And then I have 4x minus 3 minus y, which looks almost good, but I feel like I need to swap these guys out. So it goes like x, y number. I'm just going to move those around. So it's 4x minus y minus 3. Always keep the sign that's in front of the number like with it. So those guys have to stay together, and these guys have to stay together. And that would be standard form. You can also flip-flop that so it looks like 4x minus y minus 3 equals 0. It doesn't really matter which side you write the 0 on. It's the same thing. All right. Nice job. Okay, what if it was a fraction, though? Let's just talk about that. Okay, so let's say our slope-intercept form was y equals 3 over 2. Let's make it -3 over 2x plus, I don't know, 4. And we want to write that in standard form. So let's say our goal is ax plus by plus c equals 0. That's our goal. Okay. So I'm noticing that my a value is negative and it's a fraction. So that sucks. So what should I do? I don't know. You got some options. You can still move the y over to this side. You can still do that. Or you can move everything over to the left. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You choose. I think just to do it differently, I'm going to move everything to the left. But it's easier to move it to the right, too, because there's only one thing to move. Anyways, whatever. Okay, so -3 over 2x. So if I want to get rid of that, I just do the opposite. So I actually add 3 over 2x. Because -3 over 2x plus 3 over 2x will just go to 0. Be gone. But then whenever I do to one side, I got to do it to the other side. So this side has to get a 3 over 2x added to it. Okay. And I still have to get rid of that 4. Okay, I'll do that on the next line. So I've got 3 over 2x plus y equals positive 4. So to get rid of the 4, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. I'm just going to put that subtract 4 underneath it. So 4 minus 4 is 0. So that's going to go away. And on the left side, I have 3 over 2x plus y, and then I'll put the minus 4. I just couldn't squeeze it in after the y. Equals 0, because those guys go away. Okay, cool. We're almost done, except the a value actually is a fraction. So how do I get rid of that fraction? Well, it's just like when we solved equations with fractions. Why don't we just multiply every single term by 2? Because I know that that will cancel those guys can cancel it. So I'm going to multiply every single term by 2. Even this guy. All right, so do this however you want, but 2 times 3 over 2 is going to be 6 over 2, which is going to be 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that's going to equal 3x. Right? Because 2 times, think of this like a fraction if that helps you. And 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 2 is 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, and then the next term is 2 times y, so that is 2y, minus 4 times 2, which will be 8. And then 0 times anything is going to be 0, so 0. And we're done. So that's how you get rid of a fraction in the a value. All right, cool. So that's how we convert between slope, intercept, and standard, and the other way around. The end.